Hi, my name is Clara, and I live with my dad, Daniel Donaldson. My mom died 6 years ago. I love my parents so much because I never lacked love or care from them. Everything I needed was provided. My dad told me lots of stories, and one that stood out was how he was orphaned at a young age because his parents were involved in a fatal accident. One day, I met my father in his study and discussed with him about something I wanted to do. Dad, I would love to work in a nursing home. Dad got shocked, and his countenance changed from a bright one to a sad one. Then I wondered why that could have happened. I continued, Dad, what's wrong? Did I say something out of line? Then Dad removed his glasses and looked at me.
Let me tell you the story of my parents. My dad once owned a nursing home. The nursing home was very popular in the neighborhood. We had a lot of hospital and elderly patients. The nursing home was expanding rapidly. My dad took a loan to expand and renovate the facility. The newly renovated facility was the biggest in our province. But unfortunately, my parents died not too long after. Then, because of the huge outstanding loan, the bank came to possess the nursing home facility. This left me and my siblings with nothing to fall back on. That nursing home was everything to my dad. He devoted his all to the establishment of the place.
But you have never mentioned it till this moment, Dad.
Yes, because it brings back a bad memory that I'd rather keep it hidden.
Dad, I'm sorry for bringing up the topic.
Don't worry, Clara. I should have told you before now. However, I want you to know that you can make whatever choice of career or passion you want to pursue for your future. I am fully in support of your decision.
So, I never allowed my passion to grow cold. I began to read more about nursing homes. I was so curious that I spent most of my time reading and imagining working in a nursing home. I was scrolling through my phone one day when I saw an advertisement for some teenagers to volunteer at a nursing home in a nearby city. This would only be during the summer. I was glad to see this, but became sad almost immediately. I was wondering if my father would let me go because the nursing home is a long distance from our house. I secretly called the line that was attached to the advertisement and stated my interest in becoming a volunteer for the nursing home. Later that day, I met with my father and told him. He looked long and hard into the space and heaved a heavy sigh.
All right, you can work with them as a volunteer.
I screamed happily and hugged him. You are the best dad I know, I told him happily. The long-awaited summer break came. I was exceedingly glad upon my arrival at the nursing home. It was a cool environment. I saw several other teens who were also volunteers. Also, old men and women were being helped by some workers, but those workers seemed to be fewer in number. It was obvious why they needed more help. I heard the nursing home used to have one facility, but expanded. Due to the expansion, there was a change in management and name. The new management built other facilities, and I was located at one of their facilities. I spent all my summer break at the nursing home as a teen volunteer, and I continued doing the same every summer break. It's now been 5 years since I worked as a volunteer in a nursing home, and I am very familiar with the elderly. Some taught me to play chess, some told me stories, and some were weird. One of the elderly individuals stood out. He rarely talks, and when I asked Steve, one of the managers of the nursing home, I was told he had been brought in years ago. Hello, Steve. You know I always feel sorry for this poor old man. He barely talks, and I just wish I could hear him speak about himself.
He's a strange man indeed. He doesn't speak much, and there's some sort of sadness in his eyes. The funny thing is, we don't know his name.
It's so sad. I'm kind of attached to him and always want to help him out every time.
Yeah, I see how you always go out of your way to make sure he is comfortable anytime you're around.
One day, I received a call from a group of researchers who wanted to know more about nursing home residents. They were curious about their lives and their stories. They contacted some of us who have worked for a long time. I was glad about the research because I was eager to know more about these elderly people. They all seemed to have interesting life stories. The work began, and we got to know that some of the residents in the nursing homes are wealthy men and women who had been bankrupt at a particular time in their lives and left with nothing. They were brought to nursing homes, and some have spent about 5 years there. Some are widows, divorced, or never married. I got the shock of my life when I started making discoveries about the oldest man in the facility. I had made friends with some investigative journalists, and I found out the man's name after they did some background checks. This was a step forward in knowing the old man better. The work was suspended until the following week. The following week, I found out all about the old man's name. I was excited, and I decided to tell my dad on getting home. Dad, guess what happened at the nursing home today? You know the old man I always talk about, that I told you I had grown attached to?
Oh, yes, I remember. How is he? I know you always love to take good care of him, and I'm proud that this experience has made you a very empathetic young lady.
Yes, Dad, thank you. So, I uncovered the old man's identity today, and I have just been wondering, who could William Gareth be?
Clara, what did you call the name?
William Gareth, of course. My father turned white with shock. He looked startled and deep in thought. I asked him what was wrong, and he said nothing. But I sensed something was off. The following week, the whole nursing home staff was shocked to find out the true identity of the old man. William Gareth was brought to the nursing home over 40 years ago by some strange villagers who claimed they saw him in a valley. When they asked him about himself, he really couldn't remember much, but he just wrote down the name of the nursing home for his rescuers, and they brought him there. That was William's only entry in the record. Aside from that, there was a piece of paper in his record that no one seems to have ever checked. It was old and dirty. No one thought it would be valuable, but they kept it anyway. To our utmost surprise, the file contained the document used to purchase the nursing home. That was when we discovered that Williams Gareth was the founder of the nursing home. While the news spread, my father arrived at the residency. I was shocked until he told me that he wanted to confirm if the unknown man was his father, whom he had believed had died in an auto accident with his mother. I was confused. But our names are different. His name is Gareth and ours is Donaldson.
I changed my name after the accident and all that I went through.
My head was spinning. How could this be? Dad went in, and when he saw the old man, he hugged him, and they both cried. Everyone looked on in surprise at what was happening. Suddenly, the old man, my grandfather, looked at my dad's face and smiled, like he knew him. Could it be that he remembered? The others left, and Dad gripped his father's hands so tightly that it appeared he wouldn't let go.